Caption Close Washington, with the GOP on the precipice of scoring a victory on a major tax bill, Texas U.S. Sen. John Cornyn, the No. 2 Republican in the chamber, was called on to snuff out a damaging story about a last-minute perk dubbed the Corker kickback. In a floor speech Monday, Cornyn decried a report in the International Business Times, IB Times, as false and invented and would have made a Russian intelligence officer proud. The story suggested that Tennessee U.S. Sen. Bob Corker, who had been the last remaining GOP holdout on the tax legislation, had come around because of an added provision that could enrich him and other wealthy real estate investors, including President Donald Trump. The controversial provision, added on Friday, offers a 20% deduction for income earned through pass-through entities, that is, businesses whose earnings are taxed through their owners' personal tax filings. Analysts say the provision provides a major benefit to commercial real estate entities that often are structured as so-called pass-throughs. Corker, a former construction executive, announced his support for the tax bill on Friday, the same day the new provision for pass-throughs was added in House Senate negotiations on the legislation, which both houses of Congress are expected to pass Tuesday. Corker denied any involvement in the change, but he was stung over the weekend when the hashtag #CorkerKickback began trending on Twitter. With Arizona Republican John McCain, fighting cancer, absent from the final vote, the GOP's 52-48 advantage in the Senate had begun to look thin in recent days. Democrats also went on the attack, with Texas Democratic Party Chairman Gilberto Hinojosa slamming Cornyn in a press release titled, "Cornyn sells out America to personally enrich wealthy colleagues and Donald Trump." So Cornyn, the Senate GOP whip responsible for wrangling votes, took to the floor to defend the tax bill from any suggestion that it involves any special favors, as suggested in the IB Times story. This story breathlessly claimed that, without a shred of evidence, that a provision had been airdropped into the final draft in secret in order to secure the vote of a member who would supposedly personally benefit from it, Cornyn said. This was a salacious tale from beginning to end. It was also completely false and invented. He added, what the whole purpose of this exercise was, this false and invented story, is to undermine public confidence in this tax reform package. What we saw happen this weekend, as I said, would have made a Russian intelligence officer proud. The blowback for Corker was the second, stemming from an IB Times story in the last week. An earlier story took aim at Cornyn for a provision that provides a tax deduction for investors in energy-related master limited partnerships, MLPs, which are used by oil and gas pipeline corporations. More than a dozen lawmakers, including Texas U.S. Sen. Ted Cruz and Texas U.S. Reps Pete Sessions and Kenny Marchant, are invested in MLPs, according to the IB Times story. Cornyn's office has defended the tax provision, saying that it merely keeps in place current tax provisions that treat MLPs as pass-through entities.